With the number 11 Notre Dame Fighting Irish remaining at home after their bye week, they look not only to restore a little bit of air into their passing game, but also restore a little bit of respect nationally. Who would they face and how would they perform and would they garner that respect? Find out next on Talk Like a Champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition. I'm, of course, Mr. CeeLo here to talk all good things about the Fighting Irish. But before we get into that, you guys, I got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. As you may or may not know, there have been two major hurricanes that have gone through the southeast. One was through Florida, and the other one was actually directly here in the small town here in Georgia. And there have been some people that I've been wanting to give a shout out to. There's a church in Cedar Grove that it's definitely been doing some great things, been taking supplies up to Asheville, North Carolina to those people, as well as another huge shout out to my buddy Jay, who is still helping individuals that still don't have power around here, as well as my buddy Scott, who I also helped out with people removing trees from power lines, houses, and yards and whatnot. But guys, make sure if you got somebody that's done something in the community, we always want to spotlight those, because the reality of it is, in a world where acts of kindness just are not put in the forefront the way they need to be, please send them to me either via my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo or in the Talk Like a Champion Facebook page or inbox, or the group as well. But I hope you guys are doing great. We've got a lot of things to cover today, and the channel's slowly growing, but you guys, I appreciate you. I had Jay ask the question, why is Notre Dame not getting any respect? Whew, that's a good question. You know, living in Georgia, there's a lot of people that really hate on us. And what most people don't realize, you're looking at this Notre Dame schedule this year, and it's actually pretty soft. But let's also back up and see where we've had one of the toughest schedules in recent memory. So, before people start, judging what we've done or what we're not, it gets pretty droll when people keep saying having the same old arguments, when really Tennessee Tech was the first Division I AA school that we've had on deck in decades. We don't do like the Southeastern Conference. We don't pick up 1 AA schools to play. But I would imagine a lot of it is we as much respect as we garner for being where we are and how great we've been over the last century. And we hopefully with Marcus Freeman, I feel like we're getting there. But thank you for the question. But this championship run that we hope to have is going to have to go without one of our best. and that would be cornerback Benjamin Morrison. Little did we know this young stud injured his hip in the Stanford game, and he's going to go undergo surgery, but cornerback Benjamin Morrison is done for the year. So that's a huge blow to this great defense. But I will say this, we do have a pretty darn good replacement and a slew of pretty darn good defensive backs that can take his spot. I mean, we've even seen Xavier Watts sliding over from his safety position, playing some coverage. But, as I said, that's not his spot. But we've got, sophomore Christian Gay, Jaden Mickey. And honestly, we've seen a little bit of Leonard Moore, who is a lanky 6'2". I cannot wait until this kid gets on the field and is playing on a regular basis. He is going to be something serious, but it would not surprise me if we went more to a three safety type of defense. But, especially trying to get Kennedy Urlacher out there along with Xavier Watts, who does have coverage skills and tackles exceptionally well, who also came up with let me not get into that. I keep cheating getting into it. It's hard for me to stay on task, you guys. This would have been a huge opportunity, and this is why I say Marcus Freeman has got to figure out how to hang on to guys, because had Jaden Mickey, this would have been a huge opportunity for him had he not gone into the portal. He could have been next in line, and we already know Morrison's probably going to go next year. He's probably going to transfer. I mean, he's probably going to go to the NFL with his numbers being where they are. This could make him come back, this injury. But knowing that, Mickey could have been playing it right now. He could. I mean, you never know. It could happen. He could say, hey, this is where we're at. We could bring you. They could bring him back. But as it is right now, Benjamin Morrison's out for the season. But let's get into Saturday, which saw yours and mine, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, go to 5-1 and fall down one spot in the polls. After a 49-7 drubbing of the Stanford Cardinal. Now, I'm going to say it like this. This wasn't always. This game was in doubt after the first quarter. Stanford gave as good as they took. Now, with that being said, let's get into the game and how wonderfully balanced and balanced on my end. I call it balance. Let's look at the offense, which I was hoping, if you guys saw my show, the pregame show, I was hoping we could get the passing game on track, and it looked like we took some steps. Riley Leonard, 16 of 22, even though there were a couple of slants that he missed on. Hopefully he understands to get it out in front. He threw for 229 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Bo Collins, 4 grabs, 85 yards. Arguably should have went over 100 yards if the defender for Stanford wouldn't have gotten away with a pass interference call. Either way, it was a great throw. And what's really impressive is that so many people looked at this and said, okay, this is where Notre Dame needs to start excelling, is in the passing game. And this is reality. What separates the elite teams from everybody else, look at the Oregon, look in Ohio State game, was the ability to make big-time throws on big-time plays. If Marcus Freeman, and he said, I think he said something to the sideline reporter of ESPN, said something to the effect of, I'm tired of being good. I want to be great. I want to be a great team. And I don't know if he said that to his guys, but listen, they responded. I think they ultimately understood that winning this game's not enough. And I think that's what Marcus is getting through to his guys. When you start playing at this type of level, you don't take for granted your opponent. And they proceeded to come out and score 28 unanswered in the second half. Well, technically they scored 42 unanswered. But the truth of the matter is when the Irish play like this, they're one of the elite teams because we already have an elite defense, and that's missing 3 of our best players now. Honestly, right now we were missing 2, but then now we got to think about 3. And you could even throw Mickey in there because he was a great corner. He just did not like his role. And I would hope if somebody got a hold of him, he needs to watch this show. And we need this guy. We need this guy to come back. And this is the thing that a lot of these guys, I don't care how good you are, you have to understand if you're going to play at a prestigious university, sometimes you have to wait your turn in a role. Look, Cam Hart's playing at a high level in the NFL. He's starting now. He was not drafted first round. Benjamin Morrison could be a first or second round, depending on how the scouts see this hip injury when he goes out. You play at a high level at Notre Dame, and this would be wonderful if we start creating cornerback you. I hope Jaden Mickey decides to come back and change his mind because this is your opportunity. But back to the whole passing offense. This is where you have to look at this game. Bo Collins, 4 for 85. Chris Mitchell, this is a guy whom is really, really starting to come into his own. Had that nice touchdown grab. Had 4 grabs for 32 yards. This is where I was a little bit concerned. You had the big one to Bo Collins. You had the one good one to KK Smith. And then you had a great throw down the middle of the field to Jaden Greathouse. But the thing that gets me, and it's got to be resolved, they're going to have to decide whether or not we can get some kind of push to Deion Colzie because he's a big play wide receiver. He's a big game wide receiver. And the truth of the matter is we have to look at this and say to ourselves, can we get him on the field with Riley Leonard? And I know we got a really great combination of size and speed. But I think it's crucial that we get Deion Colzie involved so when the playoffs get here, we can use him because he had a really good 3rd down and 16 connection with Steve Angeli. Now, the thing is, could we, and I would say this, okay, I'm just getting in some news that Notre Dame has landed a commitment from 4-star quarterback Blake Herbert, who's flipped the longtime Clemson pledge and securing a quarterback for the 2025 class after Deuce Knight's flip from Auburn. So, give you a quick idea. Herbert is the number 6 dual-threat quarterback passer in the 2025 class. Announced his decommitment from X before giving his pledge to Notre Dame minutes later this evening. He's 6'3", 215 pounds out of Greenwich, Connecticut, has been committed to Dabo Swinney since June 16, 2023. With his recruitment closed, Herbert took a pair of trips to Clemson earlier this year, most recently an official visit in May. Yet the quarterback landscape in the 2025 shifted when Knight, ESPN's number 2 dual-threat quarterback, pulled him from Notre Dame. Well, he pulled his pledge from Notre Dame on October 2nd and committed to Auburn. So, hopefully, to me, it's not a huge deal. A lot of people are going to say this is a huge deal. To me, it's not. We got enough quarterbacks on the roster. I think what happens is you don't have enough balls to go around, and the issue you run into is you're going to lose one of these guys to commitment. And I think that is a huge issue that we just cannot keep dealing with. We cannot keep dealing with guys flipping because they want to play. I think we need to focus on that. But listen, Herbert flips from Clemson. Hey, that works out. It's not Deuce Knight, but hey, he's number 6 dual threat. So we'll see what we get from Herbert. But that was breaking news, you guys. That was breaking news as we are on the air. Blake Herbert decommits from Clemson and accepts a offer from Notre Dame. But getting back to the game, Irish Nation, do I think we accomplished everything we needed to? I think Denbrock was basically, he's showing that this is a work in progress. He is basically showing that there are many levels to getting us there. And I think what he's doing is he's slowly, and I must admit I was impatient because at the end of the day, you guys, I'm looking at it from the standpoint, we need to compete for a national championship. And this team right now is not ready. I'm not seeing enough shifting. I'm not seeing enough changes. We've got to at least run these plays that we're going to run against the Texases, the Alabamas, the Oregons. We already saw what Oregon did, the Ohio States. To me, during the Marcus Freeman era, we have been too conservative. We've got just as good of players as the next team, but it's about scheme. You have to be able to out-scheme and out-flank guys. You got speedy guys, but you have to have that extra guy that is going to make the difference. Riley's not going to be this guy that's going to run over guys when you get to the Texases, the Oregons. Well, maybe Oregon, but you're talking about Alabama and Georgia. You're not going to run those guys over. You know, you're going to have to out-scheme these guys, especially Georgia and Alabama. These guys are not going to be outflanked. You're going to have to outspeed them. I mean, you have to out-scheme them. So this is why I think it's so important and crucial that we get to a point where we're running plays that we're not only comfortable with, but can execute at a high level and also neutralize what the other team's defense can do. And get a multitude of moving pieces. Just get them moving. Whatever you got to do, set them in motion. Pull plays, reverses, you name it. Heck, I saw a play the other night. I think it was in the Oregon game where they had everybody blocking this way and the quarterback took off that way. See, that's the kind of Georgia defense that you have, the kind of Alabama defense you have. The defense is going to follow where everybody's going and you just pull this guy this way. It's possible. Continuing to look at these statistics, the biggest encouragement that I'm seeing, not just in the stats themselves, but the other aspect that is really starting to jump off the page is the third down efficiency. As they went 6 of 11, and they went for it on fourth down 3 times, got them all. But you look at 477 yards to 200 for Stanford. Now, the reason why I look at that number is because we all know the defense has been really outstanding against a defense that has a dual threat quarterback, not nearly as effective as a Jalen Milroe or a Cam Ward. But he gives them a semblance of what they have to look for. Stanford's a team that they're going to take their shots. They're not one of those teams that's going to shock you with a lot of pinpoint passing, a lot of outlandish route running. They're just going to go out there and they're going to take shots so they back you off. But you look at Notre Dame was able to get up over 200, almost 230 yards on the ground. And then they were able to get 248 yards passing. And to me, what graphic is important is that Leonard was able to average 10 yards a pass. See, and when you can get that happening and you can confuse a lot of teams, you can win games. But here's the thing that you have to look at. The problem that I'm having is that the Notre Dame wide receivers and tight ends are not doing what they do. Which is, we saw the tight ends get a whole bunch of yardage last year. By the way, this is a personal best for Riley Leonard. This is his first game since 2022. This is the first game since 2022 where he recorded 3 passing touchdowns. So outside of this being not only an important game for the Notre Dame's passing game, this is also an important milestone for Riley Leonard. Because if he can continuously get that throwing aspect of the game down with his ability to run the ball and even be able to make some of those throws on the run, that would just be absolutely phenomenal for his ability. Because what happens is, if you can take, this is why the NFL scouts are so high on him, because if he can ever get to a point where he's keeping his head down the field and keeping his head up, and instead of trying to run the football, he's keeping his head up and he's able to fling those balls to guys like Jaden Grayhouse, Bo Collins, and make something, even bigger than it already is. That is where the NFL scouts are looking at this thing, and they're thinking, oh, wow, we could make him into something. And he could possibly end up being a guy that goes in the top 3 rounds because of this. Because he has the mental toughness, he has the size, and all of those things to go with it. But when you can get guys who love to go up the field and make plays in those scramble drills, Chris Mitchell, I see him as being a huge playmaker when it comes to that. Even KK Smith. But we got to get guys like Eli Raridon and Mitchell Evans didn't even have a grab in this game. I mean, this is a guy whom everybody was absolutely loving. And Mitchell Evans is now slowly going down the board because he's not being utilized correctly. I think that's something else we've got to look at. And the reality of it is we got to start getting our playmakers involved. But this 42-point win was the largest margin of victory against Stanford since 2003. So it was 21 years ago we beat Stanford 50-point win in 2003. So just another historical food for thought, you guys. As I said, we walked into this game and we look at how we were able to execute the passing game, which is the most important thing that we're trying to get done. As I said, we had the running game was by committee. I mean, look, we had Leonard only carried it 6 times for 31. He had a long 18-yard, and then I think his touchdown was for 6 yards. Then you had Kedron Young, who had 7 carries, 39 yards. Love seeing these young new guys that are going to be here when Jadarian Price more than likely takes off, or he may stay. Who knows? Price also had 12 carries, 49 yards, and a score. Jeremiah Love, 6 carries, 53 yards, and a score. Aeneas Williams, 3 carries, 28, and a score. Devin Ford, 3 carries, 20. Steve Angeli had 2 carries for 9, and he also came in, and like I said, he threw a really nice ball on 3rd down to my man Deion Colsey. And then, as I said, going down the list, it was a receiver by committee. Even Pat Coogan got in there and got him a reception off of a great tip pass. So, it was great seeing that. But once again, we didn't want to see Benjamin Morrison lost for the season. It's tough. But the guy I want to talk about, Howard Cross the third. We've been asking when this guy was going to show up. Now, granted, he's been hampered, but man was out there just straight mauling. 4 tackles, 2 sacks. Just out there mauling. Just ain't no way to put it. There wasn't a tear where it was just Howard Cross third, all over the place. And the secondary was absolutely tremendous today. And they had several interceptions that were called back. One by Xavier Watts, which I gotta allude to this. The officiating Saturday was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I'm just gonna be honest. If they can't get any better than that, they need to hire somebody else. That's just the reality of it. It was a terribly officiated game in a lot of instances, and from the pass interference call that was picked up to the holding call against us, that was, are you kidding me? Yeah. But anyway, looking at our defense, I'm really enjoying the way things are coming together. It needs to keep. Drake Bowen had another great game. Jaden Osbury had another great game. Joshua Burnham has come on. He's really banging it out there. You look at the way this defense is really starting to just assert its will. And then there's Tui Alamaka, who has done a great job in the absence of Jordan Patella and Boubacar Traore. We've been really hit with injuries this season. I mean, it hit from our starting offensive line all the way up to our defense of line and linebackers, and now our defensive backs. And, I mean, for this team to still handle the attrition, it just shows a lot of poise that Marcus Freeman has had. I don't think a lot of people realize, I realize it, the amount of injuries that this team has had, and for them to still be playing at this type of level, people are going to say you get the same recruiting as the Alabamas and the Georgias. We don't get 5 stars. We get really good players that play above them, their levels at times. And I think the truth is Marcus Freeman and Al Golden especially deserves a lot of credit for what he's been able to do with all the injuries and changeovers that he's had to deal with, and the many different starting lineups he's had to put out there. But I wanted to let you guys know that I could not believe where we were ranked. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, when I looked at the standings and I said, you only dropped Ohio State 2 for a 1-point loss on the road. Understandable. But Penn State should never went nowhere. How do you justify giving Penn State a win over an unranked USC team in Los Angeles when Ohio State lost the game by 1 point? You put them over the top of them. There ain't no way I'm sticking Penn State over Ohio State when they struggle with an unranked USC team. Not doing it. You kept Georgia stagnant. You kept Miami stagnant. Alabama, who struggled. Ain't no way of putting it. LSU wins in overtime at home. There ain't no way they should have moved up 5 spots. Ain't no way they should have moved us 5 spots. But but they dropped us 1 for a blowout win at home. For a blowout win at home. They dropped Tennessee 3 spots. Clemson stayed idle. Iowa State went up 2 spots for a decent win against West Virginia. Is that what we're doing here? Because Iowa State's still undefeated? That what we're doing here? It's not Notre Dame's fault you did a piss poor job at setting them up. Just saying. A team shouldn't blow a team out and then they get punished. Make this make sense. You got to do better than beat a West Virginia team in Morgantown. But anyway, you guys, let me know what you think. Do you think the pollsters have an issue with the Fighting Irish, or should they be the number 12 team? Let me know down in the comments. Hit me up. Also, go to Talk Like a Champion on Facebook. Join the group. There's a group and there's a page. So let me know if there's things that you want me to discuss or things that you think I missed. Also, go to Mr. CeeLo at Instagram and find out the other things I'm involved in. Finally, if you got someone that you know that is helping out with the cleanup relief, let me know. But until we meet again, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun rise warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.